And good morning from the office here at the worldwide headquarters of FYN TV in LJ, Georgia. I'm your host for the day, Richie Stone, in for BKP, who is out on assignment, probably up in Blue Ridge, if I had to guess. Well, folks, where to start today? I think we once again got to start in Houston. It's just horrible what's going on over there. It's reached epic proportions. I don't think, at least in modern times, we've ever seen a flood quite like this. And to add insult to injury, it's I think their third flood like this, or not like this, but severe flooding. I think they're third in 3 years. And what makes it even worse is that because of those previous floods, a lot of these folks had their flood insurance canceled. So when they say lost everything, I mean they have truly lost everything. It's going to be the kind of recovery that is not going to take weeks or months. I mean, this is the type of thing that is going to take years. And our hearts, our thoughts, our hearts, our prayers go out to everyone affected by it. Anyone who has family members. But the real heartwarming thing is if we can get that picture up of the Cajun Navy and the picture we were shown yesterday, is just seeing the folks that are out there helping. There was a clip out there where folks were lined up as far as the eye could see with their boats coming from all directions, some from West Texas, others coming from the east, and it's just sometimes they say good can come from bad. And if you got to find the silver lining in anything, it's at least that we see how big people's hearts are, and that people are willing to help their fellow man and woman. And it's just sad, but leave it up to the media. They never, as we know from the Clinton days and from Valerie Jarrett during the Obama days, the media never will let a good disaster go to waste. Nope, they sure won't. We saw it with George Bush when Katrina happened. Of course, we had that famous picture of George W. looking down through his airplane at the disaster area in Louisiana, and the whole "good job, Brownie" line, and essentially everything. It's accepted fact now that it was all his fault, even though the mayor, Ray Nagin in Louisiana, and the governor, I can't remember her name exactly, but she refused federal service. Ray Nagin wouldn't let the Red Cross in. It was almost like Louisiana had boxed out the federal response, almost so it could be blamed on George W. Bush, because the next year there was a big midterm, and it worked, really. That was a huge campaign talking point in 2006 when the Democrats took back Congress and Nancy Pelosi became Speaker of the House. So that gets me to CNN. Oh, CNN. Let's cue up number 45. We just got, this is Jeff Zeleny, and you might remember him as this guy.
Thank you, Mr. President. During these first 100 days, what has surprised you the most about this office, enchanted you the most about serving in this office, humbled you the most, and troubled you the most?
Now, let me write this down.
Jeff, what enchanted you, Zeleny? I would imagine he was probably an Obama guy, hard-hitting Jeff Zeleny. Well, let's juxtapose that to yesterday when he was on live talking about President Trump's response. Let's clear that. Let's cue that one up.
President Trump, certainly of a natural disaster of this making. He used a variety of adjectives today when he was in South in Texas earlier this afternoon. He called it epic. He called it historic. He called the response terrific. So he is praising the local response here. This is what he had to say earlier this afternoon in Corpus Christi.
You are special. We're here to take care. It's going well. And I want to thank you for coming out. We're going to get you back and operating immediately. Thank you, everybody. What a crowd. What a turnout.
So, Brianna, at least that clip there and earlier remarks that he made almost sounded as though he was coming to a small campaign rally. And that, of course, is not what he is here in Texas for. He has had a variety of serious meetings with the governor of Texas. He'll be arriving here at the State Emergency Command Center behind me just within the next several minutes or so. He's also traveling with the two Republican senators, a few members of his cabinet also on board. But, Brianna, one thing I am struck by here, seeing all the stories of emotion, all the stories of loss, of devastation still unfolding. We do not know the extent of the damage here. Very little in terms of empathy from this president, very little in terms of emotion or talking directly to the people of Texas. He's been talking about the businesses, talking about the response and his crowd, but certainly this.
Very little empathy. That's right, you heard it. So the man who was just a hard hitter with President Obama about what enchanted you about your first 100 days is now accusing the current president of having very little empathy, and went as far as to say that it was a small campaign rally. A little harsh, I think. I think anybody, no matter who they voted for, when they're going through a disaster like this, if they see the president of the United States hold up their state flag in solidarity and just see him there, that goes a long way. That shows that he's with us. He's with you. He's there, to just for morale. It's just like in war when generals would ride up to the front lines in battle. It gave the soldiers a sense of spirit. Made them want to fight, made them want to survive, made them want to push on, and the USA had it. Just seems like something that fit well for Trump to be there, and let's not pretend as if he didn't go there. If he had not gone, what would the response have been? Would Jeff Zeleny have said he had little empathy? No, he would have said he doesn't care about the people. Wait. That's exactly what he said this time. So you get it. It's like a heads I win, tails you lose situation. Nothing he does will be seen in a positive light. And just to prove how much mileage they really want to get out of it. Actually, hang on. One more I need to show you. Number 58, Jennifer Rubin. This was a headline yesterday, and we won't look at the entire article, but this lady she writes the Right Turn blog on for the Washington Post, and if you ever get a chance, look up her interview with Bill O'Reilly. It's rather interesting. O'Reilly just let her have it, but she claims to be conservative or center right, although she is nothing of the sort. I think too much time at the Washington Post probably flipped her mindset, and maybe they brainwashed her. But see what the headline: Mr. President, the flood victims should come first, not your photo op. Basically, just like Jeff Zeleny, she's accusing the president of being there just for the optics. I think I heard it several times on CNN yesterday that the president didn't go to Houston. He didn't go where the flooding is. He didn't go where all the victims are. He went to Corpus Christi, which is, of course, where the hurricane made landfall. But, heads I win, tails you lose. I mean, he can't do anything right. His justification, I thought, made sense for why he didn't go to Houston, because whenever the president is in town, I mean, those of us who lived in Atlanta remember when President Barack Obama would come to town at 3:30 on a Tuesday afternoon, what that would do to Atlanta traffic. It's an entourage, it's Secret Service, it's it's the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, it just shuts everything down. So that was probably the last thing that Houston needs right now. So it made sense to me that he would decide to go elsewhere. But he can't win. And to that point of never letting a good tragedy or crisis go to waste, we're starting to see the pivot into, wait for it, climate change, the real reason why this happened. I think we have a clip there of David Gergen, number 47. This is David Gergen, who's, by all accounts, a smart guy. He was an advisor to several presidents. I think Nixon, Reagan, Bill Clinton. Typical Washington establishment guy, but undoubtedly liberal in today's terms, without a doubt. And he said something. He was on with historian Douglas Brinkley out of Austin, Texas, who's one of the best presidential historians around. I read his books. I was made to read his books in college, and they were discussing with Don Lemon. Sorry, text message. They were discussing what's next, and can you cue up the clip?
A single storm victim see an inch of rain or get near a flooded street, but the day-long visit where President Donald Trump spent far more time in the air than on the ground gave the optics-obsessed president some of his visuals he wanted as he checked in on a government apparatus working on relief efforts and was buoyed by a roaring crowd of locals. Are the optics all that mattered for Trump about this visit, you think, to Trump about this visit?
I would hope not. I would hope he has some empathy. He has trouble talking about things besides himself, and those are the quibbles that David Gergen rightfully just pointed out. But I think overall, President Trump did a good job. He got to Corpus Christi. He's famously a germaphobe, and I did not picture him waiting.
Right, I know. All right, so that was a little bit. We got Sam's back there today. Sam and Rose. Sam's filling in as the producer. Rose running our social media stuff, and we'll get our information out there to you here pretty soon. But we love when you guys tweet us and call, text. That clip right there was a little bit more about the lack of empathy. I think an email must have gone out to everyone at CNN to be sure to drop that line. But I think we have the other point queued up if we can run that.
Deal with it.
There's hypocrisy in all of this. Of course there is. But the other part of it, when are we actually going to get serious about prevention and about being able to look forward? If you're going to cut the budget for the weather service so you can have predictive things, what are we doing? Why are we continuing to build, to let so many people live so close to the coast?
That's a very good question, and one that we should ask lawmakers, and we should demand that they listen to that. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much. When we come back, much more on the devastating floods in Texas. We'll bring you the latest information.
All right. Line of the week. How long are we going to let people live this close to the coast? I'm not a hardcore conservative Republican. I'm not like a Ted Cruz, Tea Party. I agree with a lot of what they think, but I consider myself much more of a libertarian. I'm more in the leave me alone category. And that is why people don't like liberals. How long are we going to let people live that close to the coast? Unreal. The whole idea, and we're about to get to a break here soon, but the whole notion of being an American and having liberty, to me, and I think that's how the founders even interpreted it, was that you can do whatever you want, no matter what the weather, no matter what natural disasters or anything. So when people start calling for things like this, taking away your freedom to be where you want, freedom to say what you want, do what you want, evacuate when you want, it's almost like they're taking control of your destiny rather than me being able to control my own. And that's why I think we're on the wake of we're on the brink of a revival of conservatism, of a new brand of conservatism along the lines of Reagan. We saw it with Trump, because people are tired of being made to do things. Now, that's not to say if a Category 4 hurricane with Noah's Ark style flooding is coming in, that you shouldn't evacuate. Yes, certainly heed those warnings, but when you start controlling where people live, I mean, that's just unreal. So we're going to get to a break. I'm Richie Stone, in for BKP today. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Alabama Senate race and some interesting, an interesting division between President Trump and his former chief strategist. Stay with us.